Thing is working.
Yeah, it is.
All right, the video appears to be there. And if the transmit is audio there, I think we can do the old Tube Radio Network.
It's there, Dennis.
All right, I'm being attacked by my headphoniums here. As usual, trying to get the foot switch to behave, but I think it's working well now, and I can say this is indeed the old Tube Radio Network. Your place for real radios, those vintage tube radios from 1958 to about 1978 for the Class D 11-meter citizen band radio service here live and direct on 27085 Channel 11 in the Central California area, in the RF zone, and everywhere else at oldtuberadio.net on your Universal Media Net web. Hello to those listening in there. And if you are on the YouTube page, hello to you viewing the live broadcast here October 5th of 2019, or maybe some other time in the future when you may be listening. We start with the direct-to-net roll call, the shortwave listeners. In about 35 minutes or so, we will be talking with the tube radio operators, our collectors, and I'm sure some of them will have be transmitting on some of your favorite radios, maybe some radios that you are not familiar with. We will just have to find out. So without any further ado, and as usual, probably a little bit of a don't, we will start the old Tube Radio Network. We start with our 00 at the top of the roster, chosen from those with perfect attendance for the last 8 weeks. If you're playing the home game, you will want to be in the spot for 10/5/2019, looking for SWL 00. And that is Brian. I will check over on the oldtuberadio.net page. Very okay to check in there if you can't make it live on the air, so I will keep an eye out on that. SWL number 1, I have to get a working pen here, with the Cosmic check-in. Also, I need to get my SWL screen going. And SWL number 2, OBP is over on the video side. If you'd like to say hello to Kevin, give him a shout over there, and he is reporting the sunspots are still very low in the negative territory, but I'm just getting the vibes from those in the know that that's going to change very, very soon. So grab onto your DX hats. SWL 3. Rob asked me to check him in. I saw him Thursday night at the bowling alley where he was having a bit of difficulty, and I was, for the first time this season, actually having fun, getting my money's worth out of the 10 pins. SWL number 4. SWL 5. SWL 6. And if he's had that second cup of coffee, he's probably at the control point, SWL 7. Well, I know he is around, so I'll put a hold on number 7. How about let's go up to SWL 13. SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. We had a great fall day here in Central California. I think it was 80 degrees is probably 69 or 70 outside now, so probably still a lot of people trying to grab onto the last part of Indian summer. Oh, also, we have an event called the Big Fresno Fair. It is the district county fair of sorts here going in town, going on now. And Saturday nights are always a big night. It's the middle of the run of the fair, so it is not unusual for there to be 30 to 50,000 people attending just today. So I'm sure we have a lot of people enjoying the Big Fresno Fair. So if they get out in time, they'll be able to check in before we sign out tonight, probably a little bit after 10 o'clock. SWL 16. SWL 17. SWL 18. Shortwave listener 19. SWL 20. And I do have a note. It says, make sure Harvey gets checked in. So we'll get Harvey checked in tonight. And if you're listening, Harvey, somewhere on the Universal Media Netweb, hello to you. And as always, leave us a comment if you can. SWL 21. Mr. JT, who was on... I was busy, so I didn't get to participate much in Old Radio Night tonight, but I believe he was on the Sonar FS-23. And it's very possible that we might have one of those checking in tonight. Says the ground rod is on vacation. When you're anonymous but great, occasionally you do have to take a vacation. The Wasama Swamp, the Superstation is 10-8. And the Wawasee JB76B reverse preamp. I remember those JB76s with the super modulation. Make your AM signal report look like sideband, but sound very, very good. Hello, 21, and thanks for listening into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Over to SWL 22. And that's Mark out of East Texas. He will probably be with us here shortly. I'll keep an eye out. In fact, let me say hello to those online, all close here in Central California, up in Fish Camp in Fresno, right up in the front row, in the footlights, as always, as usual. Out there in Hagerstown, Maryland. Hello to Woodland Park, Colorado, listening in for that E-Skip. Dallas, Georgia. Got to Greenfield, Ohio, Inglewood, Colorado, Somerville, South Carolina, Centerville, Virginia, coming up. And the dynamic duo from BC, the Squamish. That should be Albert and Peter waving a hand and signing in. Thank you for that. Hello to North Fork and Coarsegold here locally. We're stationed from Oregon, waiting for that short hop skip. Florence, Kentucky, Florence, Kentucky, and Williamsport, Maryland. So a host of stations listening in at oldtuberadio.net tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for those glow-in-the-dark radios coming up. SWL 23. SWL 24, Joseph checked in via oldtuberadio.net. And we do have you checked in if you're listening. Over to Madera Heights, SWL 25. Over to page 2, a reminder, I am still not radioactive properly on the 2-meter side yet, so we're calling for SWL 27. SWL 29, I have a note to get Bill, Mr. Loner, checked in, which I will do. And we've got SWL 31. I don't think I saw Tennessee in just yet, so we'll put a hold on that. SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, the Jingle Singers. They are at the microphone ready to go. In fact, let me pause here and see if we've got everything hooked up before we get too far into this and find out it ain't working. So it's up to you guys. Here we go.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by KOTR. 27.085 megahertz. Brought to you by RADI. The Old Tube Radio Network.
Right, they are beaconing in loudly tonight. And believe it or not, yesterday it was National CB Radio Day, 10/4. So hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about that. That happened back in 1978, I think, thanks to the pen of Jimmy Carter. So happy CB Radio Day to everyone out there. Next on the roll call is a station that has made every day a happy CB Radio Day with the joyous Red Monkey Communications mobile trailer somewhere out there in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and he is checking in. Hello, Bill. I see you on the big board, and we've got you checked in tonight. You're looking good. How about SWL 36?
Station.
And the station back at the microphonium. Go ahead.
Yeah, crossband. Just turn it on. 27 checking in, and you can also check me in 7.
All right, thank you. I'm still not... I'm sure I could probably hear him if I had the HT sitting here on the desk. That's probably what I should do. But I wouldn't hear everybody that wanted to check in. So SWL 7 checking in live and direct, and SWL 27 waving his hand. I can see the video. I just can't hear the audio tonight. So thanks for the relay, and thank you, Dwayne, and thank you, Ed.
Yeah, when you mentioned it, I turned it on, and then I just heard him. So good shot. Thanks. I'll be listening.
Yeah, he's close enough. I'm sure I could hear him on the HT here on the rubber duck in the room. But it's actually over in the other room, so you would have to talk pretty loudly. Directing that roll call, radio's coming up. Where did I leave off? Oh, I know where I left off. SWL 36. And the guy I talked to earlier today sounding pretty good. SWL 37.
SWL 37.
Changed to the big radio and sounding, the big tube radio and sounding excellent. Thank you.
Oh, this is just my little radio.
The little radio. The little radio is sounding big tonight. Thanks for checking in.
You betcha, Dennis.
SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in. The current conditions in Chinatown is 2 miles an hour on the wind speed and 71 degrees.
All right, still in the 70s. I noticed the breeze was light. Let me kick into the control room. And unlike the last couple of weeks, if you look at the flora and fauna behind me here, you can see that things are definitely a 2 mile an hour breeze, which is pretty much nothing. And before you go, sir, I see that you left a link at oldtuberadio.net. Is that a radio for sale?
Yeah, it's on eBay. And it's a GW, I believe it's a GW11.
GW11. All right, one of the GW series, which is the Heathkit 11-meter radios, probably a couple of channels, but well worth looking into if you are a Heathkit collector from one of the Benton Harbor Lunchbox series, or you just need something. You never know. All right, that is over at oldtuberadio.net. There is a link to an eBay item. Thank you for checking in and for the report.
Oh yeah. It says GW22. So, and there's nobody's bid on it yet, and it's just slightly over. What is that? It's around $60. So not too bad.
Not too bad if you can believe eBay. It lights up, and it worked the last time I used it. All right, Bill. We will hear tonight, radios that definitely light up and definitely work. So stay tuned for that. Maybe a few Heathkits. It's been a while since we've had a Heathkit radio check-in. So all you Heathkit operators out there, take note. Speaking of taking notes, thank you, Larry. SWL 42. SWL 43. And if he's able to stop what he's doing for one moment and put an ear to the radio or the Universal Media Netweb SWL 44. He's been on the video side the last couple of weeks, so we'll keep an eye out and see who's listening in there. Oh, on the video side, the Mighty Juliet Whiskey. Hello, John is listening in. Also, OBP. And that looks like it. Oh, and DD21. Looks like it right now on the video side. Up to North Fork for SWL 45.
Good night, Dennis. 45.
Yeah, I kept the door locked, so nobody could play with the radios. You know, I did get in the radio room this afternoon. Someone had reminded me that it was the California QSO party this weekend. And I'm going to be definitely not radioactive tomorrow. So I listened in and kind of chomped at the bit a little bit because I'm not able to get on and do anything. But it's probably still going on. One of my favorite contests. You are sounding good, Paul. Thanks for checking in. And we might be talking to you later when the radios are checking in. Over.
I'm planning on it.
All right. And that's a good thing because I know our shortwave listeners are looking forward to the radio check-ins tonight. Over to SWL 46. SWL 47.
Hey, good evening, OTR, and greetings from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47.
And greetings. The signal and the radio are sounding good tonight. Good all the way around, and we've got you checked in.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we got perfect conditions over here. Everyone sounds wonderful. The breeze is coming in from all the open windows and doors we have in the house, and it's just making everything smell like hot vacuum tubes in here. This is a good evening for radio usage.
Yes, it is. In fact, I should open the window all the way behind me. It's 84 in here. It was below 80 when I started, but of course, turning on all the tubes and the lights is adding some heat, so I might have to do that in a little bit. You're sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no reason for it to be that warm in here when it's a beautiful evening outside. SWL 48. SWL 49. I bet he's out at the fair. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
And there's a guy that doesn't need to go to the big Fresno Fair. He has, I think, a Ferris wheel, a merry-go-round, and one of those things where you toss the bean bags and you win a big fluffy teddy bear right in the yard. So no need to head out to the fair. Dave, you are sounding good, and we've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. You have a good evening.
I've been over there. I always lose. I don't get the teddy bear. I get the consolation prize, which I think it's one of those green glass ashtrays with the bubbles in it. But I have fun nonetheless. Let's try SWL 52. Remember those in the 40 in the little carnival things? Maybe they still have them. You'd win an ashtray. And you'd look at it, and the glass would be so poor it'd have little bubbles all through it. Next is SWL 53.
Good evening, Dennis. 53 checking in.
5353, that is Mr. Belair. Hello, Bob. As always, sounding good here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
And as we say, the cosmic check-in for SWL 54 is keeping an eye on all the radios checking in tonight in front of the big scope up there, making sure the modulation looks good and everybody's on frequency and as good as they can be for the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Over to SWL 55.
55 checking in.
Sounding good. Sounding like the standard issue M&M tonight. Beaconing down to Midtown Fresno here. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Just for kicks. and is sounding good. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from Gazebo Gardens. And I think that has been around a while in Fresno at that corner by the railroad tracks where they have all sorts of entertainments on Friday and Saturday evenings. Thanks for checking in. SWL 58.
58 said proxy him in. He is eating a ribeye steak and will not break away from the steak to check in.
Well, I should give him some credit because I know he is a consummate old tube radio operator, and he probably wrapped that ribeye in some heavy-duty aluminum foil, was probably doing some DX dropping the mall on the tube radio as that ribeye was sizzling away on top of the tube radio and is now enjoying the fruits of his labor. So we will make sure that Jeremy gets checked in. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 59. Shortwave listener 60.
Thank you, Dennis. 60 checking in. Doggone it, that fair, boy, look at all this food, Dennis, on Facebook there, and boy, I just grabbed the Rolaids. I don't know how they can do it. Let's check in Big Jake's base.
We will check in the Mr. 2901s, the DX2527 sounding good. The other thing I don't know how they can do, I looked at the prices. Was it $12 to get in now? And that's not include parking. And who knows? Who knows what a corn dog costs now? $10? That's enough to bring out the Rolaids. When I was working the fair all the time at the TV station booth, we were right across from the jumbo corn dogs, and there was always a line. Always a line waiting for those jumbo corn dogs. So I know what you mean about the Rolaids, but you only do it, right, once a year. So they give you 365 days to forget. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
SWL 61.
51 checking in, Dennis.
Looking good on the old tube radio S meter at S8 into the control room here tonight. Thanks, Dean, for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 62.
Good time, Dennis. It's 262 checking in. Downtown Clovis. On frequency, almost, and on time.
Frequency sounds good. Close enough. I think the old tube radio control won't give you any problems. I don't think the FCC will either. And Clovis is pretty smart not to schedule too many events. Wow. All of a sudden, my headphones just started working. I hope I'm still transmitting. They don't schedule a lot of things when that big Fresno fair is going on. But they'll get back into the swing of things. Thank you for checking in. SWL 63. Let me check the list. That is Bubba and the gang out there in New York. Something must be going on. I don't see any of the big iron stations yet on the far East Coast. Keep an eye out. We'll be here till past 10 o'clock for sure tonight. SWL 64. SWL 65.
65 checking in.
65. Hello, Eric. Sounding good. Boy, my headphones are doing something. I hope they don't conk out because I think this is my spare headphone set. Actually, I think I have a really, really poor pair that will guaranteed to give you a headache in about 5 minutes. So I will be nice. I won't jump around too much. Thank you, sir. We got you checked in.
Thank you. Have a good one.
SWL 66. SWL 67. I've got a note for proxy check-in for Bill. We'll do that. SWL 68. Thomas out of Texas. I didn't see anybody from Texas on. And SWL 69.
Let's check in 69, Dennis. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, I had a note that Kenny is probably tuning this in somewhere, or maybe watching, that's right, watching the replay of this, the old Tube Radio Network version for October 5th, 2019, where real radios glow in the dark. My name is Dennis, your net control operator, and there will be various and sundry classic radios checking in here after the roll call, so please stay tuned. Let's go over to SWL 70.
Hi, Dennis. 70.
70 checking in. And let's see, I'm returning the favor because Mark checked me in Wednesday night. Let's plug the Wednesday night 10-meter sideband net. For all the SWLs, you can tune in at 28,445 upper sideband on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Local conditions, if we have the skip conditions, and if you are licensed amateur radio operator, we would definitely like to hear from you if you're not on the roll call when they call for visitors and things like that. Did I kind of get it right?
Yes, you did. There's also a CW net at 28.140 at 7 p.m. local.
I've yet to listen to that. I have the J38 key on the desk here. Let's see. Does it show up in the picture? It is right there. That is the J38 straight key. So if I ever get brave, I could try that. I think it's Gus that usually, and he's a patient. Gus is a patient person, so I might be able to get in. All right, Mark, we've got you checked in. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Directed net roll call, SWL 71. I got to get my pen back in hand. Dallas, Georgia on the list, and SWL 71, that is Stan, and he says tonight, I'm probably going to get in trouble for not working the party. Checking in, working California QSO party as we speak. Very good. Thank you, Stan. Worked 60 QSOs so far. 40 meters is very good now. Not bad for a wire. 100 watts in a wire. I listened to 40, and there were some stations pretty loud. It was weird. The band was long. I was hearing the Oregon and Washington stations calling in to this area. And then I listened in on 40 meters, and of course I can't hear the local California guys, but I just listened. I'm not set up to transmit, but if you're in California, that's the contest you want to get in because you are the DX Gold and people are calling for you. So you just hang out and give points. And everybody is happy to try and grab you, and they will listen for you, even if you're at 10 watts in a wire or 10 watts in a wet noodle. So thanks, Stan, for giving the guys in California here a point. And I guess it goes through tomorrow. I can't remember what the sign-off time is, but it's usually a weekend thing. So if you haven't tried it, try it, you'll like it, and it's very, very easy to do. You don't need a lot of power at all, because like I said, people are listening. If you're in California, people are listening for you to get points. We are looking for SWL 72, SWL 73, SWL 74, SWL 75, SWL 77.
Good evening, Dennis, and sounding great out there on the radio, and good to hear everybody out here. 73's to the listeners, and 77 on the Tower of Power. Checking in.
On the Tower of Power, looking good and sounding good. On that nice sounding radio, let me put an X in the square. Sometimes I forget, I click on the mouse and I forget to put the X, or vice versa, but you got both, thanks. SWL 78, that is Richard up there near Everett, Washington. SWL 79. Thought I heard him in earlier. I will keep an ear out for Philip. SWL 80. And we'll turn the page. Let me see. There was who was that on the video side? West Virginia. Is that correct? Yeah, 8land. Kilowatt Echo 8. Hello to 6520 there. West Virginia is a good 10-meter AM hop when the band opens from here. I'm trying to think who I used to talk. I'd have to check my log. I used to talk to somebody in West Virginia all the time. I think on 10 meter AM. So welcome to the Old Tube Radio Network, where we do 11 meter AM and have fun with the Tube radios. Thanks for listening in this evening. I said I would turn the page. Looking for Steve Areno, SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 from the Ditch Banks of Iowa. Good evening.
Sounding good. Did you check to see if anything had shaken off of the shelves with that grandiose 3-point Tembler?
Everything's fine and dandy out here. Spider webs are still up on the antenna. And next weekend will be the Iowa Raisin Day. If anybody wants to go to a very small town parade.
Small town parades are fun. I usually get employed at the small town parades. I'm the guy with the shovel that follows behind the guy on the Clydesdale. That's usually what happens to me in those small town parades, but at least I'm in the parade. And it is that time, raisin drying season. We are hoping usually the end of September, the beginning of October, raisins are out in the papers or whatever they do, however they dry them, and we are hoping, there is hoping for no rain, so might as well have a parade. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
We have SWL 84. I have a note to get 84 and the gang checked in, as he may be listening as he's reconstructing the station there from a lightning strike, I believe. We're going to be, well, this will be a while before we'll be in lightning things again, so hopefully with everything, you'll get everything in order. To Reedleytown for SWL 85. And then we will check in SWL 86, 87, and 88. That is the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl. Taking us over to SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 92. I'm not sure if I heard Chuck on the Wednesday night net or not. I usually hear him really good on upper sideband. SWL 93.
93 checking in, and good evening to all the SWLs.
Polishing up his sandbag trophy. Number one sandbagger there, Louie. You are sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Check. See you next week.
And 544, sometimes known as Fresno Dave, SWL 98. And before I go into the triple digits, let me go back over to page 1, because I just refreshed my page, and East Texas is beaconing in. Mark is listening in. Hello, Mark. From Longview. Next week, we'll be trying to check in on air. You never know. You never know. And cool enough to do work in the attic. It's same thing here. It's if it hasn't been, as long as it's 80 or something, you can get up there, work on the coax runs, those stealthy antennas, and all that good stuff. So, good antenna work all the way around. I hope to hear you from Texas beaconing in, and always appreciate when you wave a hand at oldtuberadio.net. Let me put you up on the official page here. 22 is checked in. Radios are coming right up on the dark radio, so don't go away. We're on page 4 if you're playing the home game. Back to page 4, looking for SWL 103.
103. Roy, I haven't been active lately. My radio broke again. So now pretty good. I don't know yet.
Well, you are, I can hear you. You're in my noise level, but, being mobile and might not be pointed the right way. The audio is good. Signal is there. So if it was broke, I'm going to say that you have put Part A to Part B and affixed properly. Over.
Yeah, I have no idea. But I think what my friend said, it was the hours, something like that. I don't know.
Well, the audio's there, signal's there. I've heard you stronger, but like I said, I think you're just in a position where it's not as directive towards central Fresno here, perhaps, or you're under a carport or something, but it's good. So I would say, and I'm not hearing any wacky audio things, so I'm going to say that you've got it together probably A-OK.
Oh, thank you.
All right, that's 103, Mr. Cheese Easy. Jeff checking in. Good to hear him on the air tonight. Let's try SWL 109. SWL 110. From Reedleytown, SWL 111. Robert does a bang-up job. I hear him really well on the upper sideband and on FM. So I'm just not sure why the AM doesn't work so well from Reedleytown. I'm sure the problem is mainly on my end. Let's head over to SWL 113. I'm going to get Tom checked in. He was on the Wednesday night net. Oh, they're starting, and trying to start up some classes, some study classes here in locally for amateur radio licensing. So I hope they do okay on that. We'll have information as it becomes available. Over to the guy that always sounds 10-2 and wall-to-wall at this location, SWL 114.
114, checking in.
Hello, Wayne. Got the X in the square. We got you checked in. Thanks.
Thank you.
Over to SWL 128. That's John Lee out of Fairfax. I don't think he was in earlier. Let me scroll down. Make sure I didn't miss him. Sometimes he sneaks in. Oh, that is 17 minutes ago. See, I'm on to you there. 120. I know how you do. You try and make me. You keep me honest. You make me look at the list to see who else is out there. A beautiful day. Everybody is saying it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day everywhere. It's always a beautiful day, but sometimes it's even more beautiful. So all that nasty weather we had a week or so ago is off. But you know what happens when you have those beautiful days. You know what that means. Let's enjoy it while we can. Work on the antennas, get in the attic, and just enjoy it. So I appreciate everybody who's taking time out of a beautiful day to jump into the stuffy radio room and check in with us and bring us some radios tonight. He said Calaveras booming in here earlier. Maybe we're listening to California QSL Party. There's a Calaveras County, one of the counties. I think there's 52. There's over 50 counties. Am I correct? Am I remembering correctly here in California? And there are some that are really hard to get. Alpine and Lake. So if you're in one of those counties in California, you really want to do the California QSO Party. Because you will be the DX du jour. Thank you, 128. Over to SWL 131. Shortwave listener 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 checking in.
All right, and I will ask, because I know you are set up over there. Were you doing any California QSOing party today?
Not earlier. While I was waiting for my number to be called, I tuned in, and there's still guys on 40 meters that are going pretty strong, though.
Yeah, I would imagine 20 is shut down for all intents and purposes. 40, the band should be long, so probably hearing, 5s and 8s and 0s and 4s. And 100 watts in a wire might work. You've got a pretty decent antenna. And then, of course, let's see, 75. 75 is a contest band, so I bet that's roaring pretty good for the California QSO. Thank you, Dave. We've got you checked in. Over to SWL 135. You've got a note to get Cliff checked in. We will, even if Cliff, we don't hear him tonight, we will be seeing probably a lot of his handiwork in our photos that show up for the rigs checking in. So if you're listening somewhere, Cliff, thanks for that. We always appreciate having A1 video with our A1 audio check-ins. Over to SWL 137. SWL 145, Tony, who is checking in. I heard him on the Wednesday night net. Sounded good. HF bands are dead, really missing a CB. Yeah, if you've got a wire, you can listen in on if you've got something to pick up 40 meters or, in the 7 megahertz or 3.7, 3.8 megahertz in the 75-meter phone band, you might hear something. And he became official general on Wednesday. Yeah, you're ready to go. Got your general ticket. It pretty much takes you everywhere. It's not quite the e-ticket, but that gets you into Disneyland, and you can pretty much go anywhere you want. So, almost anywhere you want. So, congratulations on that, and hope to be chatting with you on some of the frequencies. That's Tony, SWL 145. Over to SWL 147, who is also a ham radio operator. And I saw Neil up here. Let me scroll up. In Kakalaki, checking in. Weather has been hot. Hit 98. Wow. Cool off to 70 today and a cool week forecast ahead. Listening to the Cal QSO party. 20 through 40 meters. Can't hear a thing. Stone cold dead on the East Coast. Well, give 40 a try again. They're going to be some big guns probably to get that far out on 40, but they're out there. Have fun at the fair. That's right. You are. Neil is a former Fresnoite, so he knows about. He probably knows about it when it wasn't the big Fresno Fair. He says that he saw a lot of great entertainers and lost a fair amount of money on the slow horses at the Great Fresno Fair. A quick story about the horse races. That's one of the attractions at the Fresno Fair. And years ago, when I was doing video work, we would have to promote. We were the production company that did the spots to promote the fair. And so we would come in during the day when the fair was open and go into the horse race and go into the track. This is during the day, 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And this is back in the old days with big, huge cameras and big, huge recorders. We would bring all our equipment in, and we would lug that camera, and we would point it towards the audience or towards the grandstands, because we'd be there to get the grandstand shot and the horse racing shot. And you could tell. It was instantly you could tell, one, who wasn't supposed to be there and who wasn't supposed to be there with who they were there with, because people would just start ducking and just exiting the grandstands when they saw us point that camera up there. So I always had that little extra feeling of power. When you went to the big Fresno Fair in the grandstands of the horse races during the middle of the week, you knew who wasn't supposed to be there at that time, or they were doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing. Anyway, we're probably good that I didn't get shot or worse. Thank you, Neil. I've not been to the fair. I'm so used to going with a free pass for doing stuff, and I don't get those anymore. So I'll have to cough up my $12 and then cough up my corn dog. We are, if I will stop talking, we will get to the radios here shortly. Let's head up to Course Gold, Starliner, SWL 195. All right, yes, it runs through, it's usually 2 weekends. This is the first weekend. It runs through Sunday. Saturday and Sundays are usually big nights for the Paul Theater. I guess they still call it that. That's the amphitheater or the theater there, and they've sort of changed things. You used to be able to just wander in; it was free. Now they have, I'll say better, but they have more well-known acts, and I think they charge you to get in, and it's not, you just don't wander into the Paul Theater. And I don't know who Paul is, but my name is the Poem Club or something. But that's where the items are going on tonight, and it's probably happening right now, probably right in the middle of probably a heavy metal band or a country western band or something going on. We've got the Jingle Singers. They'll be here. That's our claim to fame. Let's try SWL 226. Let's try any late check-ins or anybody that needs to make a comment before we switch to the two radios OTR listening.
Can you proxy Ed in?
Which Ed?
The one up there in Alani.
Let's see. I think that's 40. I think that's 43. I think that is Mr. Crazy Eddie. I will do that.
Okay.
All right. What I will also do, I will take a moment of silence here. We will set up for the tube radios. We'll keep the video going. Is there any hello, Private Thor on the video side? Let me just check to make sure I don't need to respond to something on the other side. Who's new? Hello to Copperopolis. That's a new one. Copperopolis out near, what is that? Out 33 on the way to Taft. Taft has they have a big fair too, or big, was it Oil Dorado Days? Anyway, hello there. Hello to, I think we've got some stations checking in from UK, all right. Hello to the UK station. And also the station in Wortola. That's in Queensland. I wonder if that is Gerard. I wonder if that's where you're showing up tonight. If that is, hello to you. Hello to our stations way far out there who, when the conditions are right, I don't know about the UK at night, but Queensland perhaps. All right, I will be back in a moment, and we will talk with those cool old tube radios back in a second. And I will be dropping the audio stream for just a second so I can switch over to the tube radios. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
We hope the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. Welcome if you are tuning in to hear those classic vintage tube radios. We should have a few tonight thanks to our collectors, and OTR standing by listening for radio number 1.
37. 45.
And we do have a couple. Hello, Paul, 45. I want you to step into the green room. You will be radio number 2. We will be right with you. And 37, that is Chris. We will grab you here as soon as I grab the Tube Radio list, which is in need of some scribbling. So hopefully you've got a radio for us. Over.
Scribble away. We're going to check in with the General Radio Telephone. That's right, General Radio Telephone. 3 words. General Radio Telephone. Yeah, 3 words. The Super MC11A. The 24-channel version of this here, and we're running this here with the stock handheld microphone. Over.
The General Radio Telephone, is it actually, do they have it written on the radio? Let's see, let me go to Super MC11A, General Radio Telephone Company. All right, I think they spell it as one radio telephone, as one word, although our header says 3 words. I mean, or 2 words for radio telephone. You know, that probably doesn't matter. If it says Super MC11A, you know you've got the beautiful downtown Burbank. Over to you for a transmission.
Well, let's see now. I see 3 different words down here. Let me get down there. All right, let's see here. It does say General Radio Telephone. What does it say behind it there? I'll get my eyeballs situated. I can't see what the last word says. Let me see. I know it says something, Dennis, but you know, when you get my age and you're blind, a company, that's what it is, General Radio Telephone Company, Super MC11A.
And the company, I put up on the video. So General, 1 word, radio telephone, 1 word, at least for them anyway. And then company, the Super MC11A, this radio, their next to last, I'm going to say generic, regular, we're selling it offering from General Radio Telephone in Burbank when they were doing their thing. This radio is a 24-channel radio because it includes a Civil Air Patrol frequency somewhere. I think you said it was on the dial somewhere, and only 9 tubes. Sounding great. Take a transmission.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing and whatnot, so I'm not going to complain with it.
No, it always seems to fire up. We've been checking it in for years and years without 99.99 and 44/100% of the time without an issue.
Yeah, I guess you say that almost, yeah.
Good deal. All right. Way to get us started off. I always we've got a great picture from Cliff on this where he's showing the radio keyed up. Channel 11 is in the screen. It's a good way to start. Radio number 1, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Chris at the microphone, give us another transmission, and then we'll head up the hill and see what Paul's got.
Okay, I know he's got one of these too, and some other ones similar to it too, and even some older and younger, whichever, he's got it. So show it out there. I'm out and getting ready to fire up some more.
All right, sounding very good. I just want to remind people, if you're listening to the audio on the stream or watching the video, you're hearing my audio through the Heil microphone, of course, but the radios are coming in from the receiver transmitter, and the audio is a direct feed through some very minimal processing into the audio board. So when you hear these radios and the great sound that you just heard out of the General Radio Telephone, it's really pretty much the way I'm hearing it in the headphoniums here right out of the receiver. So I always go back and watch the archives, and when the radios checking in sound better than I do, and that's quite often, you know you've got some, what do they say, bodacious audio on your old tube radio. Thanks, Chris, for checking in. Radio number 2, stepping up now, SWL 45. That is Paul, who is up in the foothills north and east of Fresno. At 8:56, can you hear me? Over.
Okay, check in my Brownie Golden Eagle Mark II, that's Roman numeral 2, Series B.
All right, the Golden Eagle Mark II Series B, and I always have trouble not hearing you, but finding a decent shot of the Mark II, because for some reason, we don't have a real good picture in our database. So if I'm able to get one up here in time, I will do just that. But in the meantime, Tell us about the Series B. Typically, it could be a two-piece radio with the transmitter and the receiver, but I'm thinking sometimes if it's a Series B, it might actually have more pieces or parts to it. Over.
Okay, the Series B, it has all the air light on the thing. That's the only difference between the radios and the other one. It's on air light. It's in the center, underneath the speaker there, under the eagle. It's pretty good sized light on there, red light. That's the only difference in the thing. Back to you.
Okay, I just found a picture. Maybe this is, if I can get the link to it here, maybe this is actually your picture, and I don't know why it wouldn't be showing up for all of it here. Is this so? It's what you have is just it's the two-piece radio. Is that correct?
Sorry, come back on that.
Oh, what you have for the Series B is just the two-piece radio. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I think we've got a representative shot of the Browning Golden Eagle, the Mark II. The transmitter a little bit not as wide as the receiver. And the Mark III is like that if you have the AM version. But on the Mark III, then they got all the sideband adapters and everything meshed into the transmitter. Nice looking. I like the look of the Mark II. They changed the Mark III just a little bit, but it's got the really large knobs, and it's just a class act. And of course, it has the flying Golden Eagle across the top, and it should give you that cool on-the-air light that turns on the speaker when you take a transmission. Our second radio of the evening from Paul is the Mark II Series B, and I will ask you to give us another transmission before you head away. Over.
Okay. It's the beep on the thing's a little intermittent. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not worried about it. But anyway, the transmitter has 5 tubes in the thing. The receiver has 12. It's a two-piece radio, and it's a total of 17 tubes on it. So like you see the picture there of the transmitter is quite a bit smaller than the receiver. And the threes came out. They were exactly the same size. The Mark III. That was the next one in line. The receiver and the transmitter were the same. So this is kind of different. But I like this one. All tube. It's no resistor, no transmitters, no nothing in here but tubes, the way you want them, I tell you. Anyway, and let's see, I'm running a Turner plus 3 microphone on the thing. I tried a lot of the banana mics, and they just didn't sound good enough, so I'm using this one, not for being an amplified mic, but just for the tone of the thing. Turner's had an excellent tone on the thing. Back to you.
Sounds good. Has the classic Browning audio and putting in a good signal. Your radio is the signal coming in here, of course, one's 2 watts or one's 8 watts, but that one is near the top of the scale. I don't know if I had let's see, do I have can I do a radio? Yeah, okay. Well, have you take another transmission. That way, if you're watching the playback, you'll be able to give yourself a radio report on the S meter. So key down one more time, if you would.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this thing has 4 pieces. They actually got a SSB 15 that goes to the main receiver on this thing. Trans adapter that ties everything together. So it's got a sideband and a whole shebang on it. It lines up, and it lines up about 40 inches long with everything put together. Very impressive little radio. Not little, big radio. Back to you, Dad.
Like the Amtrak railroad car, you just keep hooking them together, and at some point you're ready to take off down the track. We're glad you came by our neck of the woods tonight in the Old Tube Radio Network. And as always, your radio selections sound good here into Midtown Fresno. Radio number 2, we're logging it in at 8:56, taking us through the top of the hour on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for bringing it by, Paul. And since it is the top of the hour, I think I'm required to do this.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, OTR. 27.085 megahertz. The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO. Some of you may remember your RADIO from the 1960s and 1970s, kind of recreating what happened then on your 11-meter citizen band radio service. When you'd the only thing you could fire up would be that tube radio and have a great time listening in. OTR standing by.
Number 7.
All right, just trying to get the foot switch in the right position here so that I can stay keyed up and hear you transmit on the Eagle. I'm not sure which flavor that one is. It has a long ping. I have a feeling it might be the 3, but I will defer to you.
Actually, it's the R68T68 Series 2 with the Banana Mic.
All right, I love it when Net Control gets stumped on that one. They both sound so good. I will try to tune my ear or get my radio ear tuned in so that maybe in the next couple of years I will be able to tell you what radio you're checking in on. But I'm glad you set me straight. I will find a shot of the Series 2. Here's the T68. Does it have? Do we have just the transmitter? Let me see. No. I don't know why we're so lacking on the Browning radio pictures. All right, there's a good picture. So let me do that, and we'll go back to you for a transmission.
There you go. Well, that's the radio and the microphone, minus the external speaker.
Okay, microphone's there. Yeah, the external speaker is something. I don't know how many they sold back in the day, but they're not unobtainium just yet. But the thing is, if there's ever a radio that didn't need an external speaker, I would say it would be that receiver. It's got a huge speaker.
Oh yeah, the speaker is just fine. I don't know why you would want an external as far as that goes. So, besides, I have no space on my desk for one.
Well, you know what? That just tells me that you need a bigger desk.
You know, I bought a bigger desk. Excuse me, and now I find that I need a bigger one.
Yeah, isn't that how it always works? You made me kind of think about my radio desks through the day. I think my first one was an old dining room table, one of those ones with the chrome legs that somebody was throwing away, and then you have to build a little stand for it to put in. I think, what would I have? I had a DX60B. This is my novice rig, and I probably had the Regency Imperial. And then, what did I do? I had another one. Oh, then I built this bottom piece here. This is actually a door. Of course, you're probably not watching the video. And then I had a whole big stand of stacked radios, and then I'm not using that. And then I have these shelves here to put the other radios on. So yes, and then there's radios behind me, and I still don't have enough room. What you end up having to do, and who does this well? I think Phil, SWL56, you just start designating various portions of each room as a radio area, and then you do work that way.
There you go. Well, I'm trying to keep it all in one corner anyway. Well, you know, the Brownings, the two-piece radios, they take up a lot of room.
Yes, they do. I always like looking at the QRZ photos where somebody does just that. They have a very concise and nice-looking desk in a part of the room in a corner or below a window, and I'm thinking, it's simple. You've still got, you know, all the frequencies and bands and radios that you need. It's accessible. There's usually a computer on the table. I'm thinking, why Why is it that I can't do that? What's keeping me from making everything, within arm's reach so you can do it? But I guess you just have to concentrate.
There you go. Actually, I just think another way I could configure the radios here, and that way I could kind of sit one on top of the other without actually sitting one on top of the other, and that way it gives you a good photo of each radio.
Yeah, occasionally I see photos of people's Radio Shacks. Paul is one. He's good. That table, the table that goes on forever that has all of the Brownings, I'm sorry, all of the General Radio telephones in it. I'm thinking it's like going to Save Mart in the produce section, and you just have this. Do you want carrots? Do you want celery? Do you want lettuce? Do you want tomatoes? You just kind of go up and down the aisles and pick and choose what you want. If you're watching the video, that is a photo from an advertisement, probably back in 1967, of the radio on which Ed is talking, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, the first of Browning's radio to take the Golden Eagle moniker after just the straight Eagle. And then when I stop talking, you will hear what that sounds like.
And there you go. And with that, I'll get another radio on.
All right, we'd like it. Thanks for Radio 3 at 9:03 when we checked it in, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 here on the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for Radio 4. Hello, Paul, SWL 45. I just want to remind people that you don't have to have an SWL number or have ever checked in or listened to the Old Tube Radio Network before if you find yourself in front of a tube radio, to get checked in here. We encourage everybody to listen in and stop by and have a good time. We are not a club, no dues, no secret handshake, just like it was 40 or 50 years ago. If you've got a microphone and a radio and would like to take a transmission, we'd like to hear from you, as we do with radio number 4. Hello, Paul.
Okay, I changed things around a little bit. Not any of the big radios, but it's pretty good size radio. This is a B&K Dynascan Cobra 98.
Let me see where I might have that listed. If it's under Cobra. And that's a B&K 98. Do we have a picture of that? Yes, we do. Let me see if I can get up there in the corner. Up there in the corner, over that way, yeah. Nice looking radio. And you know what? It's nice looking because it says it's from your collection. So do tell. Take a transmission, over.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to come up. It's not coming up. But yeah, it is a nice looking radio. It's different than the one before, the 89. It's much different. It's got a fancy black front with polished aluminum all around for the receivers, flips, holes, and everything like that in the thing. It's really crafty radio. It's also got Dynas boost on the thing too. And I'll put that on here and see if it makes any difference. I'll turn it on right now. Here's the Dynas boost. I don't know whether we want to leave it on or off. Back to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hear the big difference there. I can actually hear some noise in the room, like maybe you have a fan or something going. Either way, it sounds good. My guess is that somebody who's not copying you as well as I am might enjoy the extra audio and the Dyna Boost, but it's certainly not doing anything bad. And prior to that, it was pretty well modulated. Not a problem, so it's working. It didn't even crackle or crunch when you flipped the switch.
Yeah. Did you say to leave this thing off?
No, go ahead and leave it on. I think it'll help your signal of those a little bit farther out.
Okay, there's on. These things got a lot of swing to it. It's a nice radio, it really is. told you I was running the Turner Plus 3 on the thing, like I was running the last on the Brownie too. I love the microphones, and I don't really need the amplification on the thing, but the tone on it, like I said, it makes everything sound a lot better on these old radios. At least in my book, it does. That doesn't mean a whole lot. anyway, back to you.
A tone control is nice to have, depending on the speaker you're using. Sometimes somebody's audio might come in a little bit bassier, muffled, and you can put it on the treble side and get that punch that's not in their audio. The other time, you might want to mellow things out, and you can roll off the high frequencies a little bit. So, again, I've said this a couple of times. I don't know why more manufacturers, and I don't think it's that hard to do, didn't put in, just like an AM radio, an AM table radio, didn't put in a tone control just for that reason. Talking to Paul, SWL45. He's got our radio number 4. It's the B&K Cobra Cam 98. We got a picture up in the corner. He gave us a demonstration. One of those red switches by the S meter there is a Dynaboost. I don't know. There's actually 2 switches. Not sure what the other one does, but Dynaboost sounds good. So don't be afraid to run it with the Dynaboost.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll keep it going as long as I can. This has been quite a little problem trying to get this thing going. I lucked out with it. It sounds pretty good. It looks good on the meter, and you see it sounds good. I'll find out in archives when we check it out. Anyway, this is a 10-tube, 24-channel radio. It's got 12 mixing crystals in it to make it 24 channels. And it's got a 24-position rodeo, slide switch on the thing. It's got everything that the big boys have got. And like you said, the meter is really impressive. You can run SWR or anything on this thing. Kind of like the more modern radios. They put everything into these old Cobras. Anyway, that's about it. That's about it. Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
Sounds great. A nice, beefy audio as we would expect from the Cobra. And thank you for taking the extra effort to go over to the Cobra, the other radio table. Give us a few of the other check-ins tonight. Radio number 4 from Paul at 9:09. Also want to say 73 to John, I believe he's in Iowa. Mighty Juliet Whiskey's taking off early tonight, or actually it's late for them, so thanks for hanging in with us. Also, Butterbean, watching in on the video, is needing to step out. Thanks, gang, for tuning us into the Old Tube Radio Network. And not stepping out over in the other studio are the Jingle Singers, and I will patch us through so we can, they'll tell us about that great place to be on Saturday evenings.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
Looking for radio number 5.
Number 7.
And I do believe we have number 5 from number 7. Hello, Ed, over.
And this time, another Browning, but the Mark III SSB with the Golden Eagle D104 microphone.
Let me put the emphasis shot. See, by the process of elimination, it's sort of cheating, I guess, but I knew which Browning that was that time, and you are, after demonstrating the full-fledged Golden Eagle ping on the R68 T68, you have the ping light dialed in on this one.
Yes, it is ping light on this one. So yeah, got it in the mellow mode instead of the long, excruciating one for headphones.
As he sees me wearing the headphones. Well, I have turned things down tonight, so I got to be careful because I have to hear the far out stations, and wearing the headphoniums, really, that's what that helps for. When the other part is, it gives me the full fidelity on those stations like yourself with the S9 or better signals. So I always appreciate, like I said, when you're trying to be nice to Net Control. And Ed knows because he's a Net Control himself. So radio number 5, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. I know I've said it before, but you would have found these for sale brand new at your favorite CB radio dealer or electronics store or wherever you might get them in 1972, 73, 74, 75. Probably still around in 76, but they were switching to the Mark IV thanks to the 40-channel, needing a 40-channel transmitter. Give us another transmission on a radio that back in the day would have cost $700 easy.
There you go. Cost more than my first car did. There is, yeah, in fact, I remember one of these, and it was on the shelf. It had a D104, not the golden one, but the kids were told to look, but do not touch. Now I can touch all I want to. With that, we'll let you have it back, and I'll get one more radio ready.
Isn't that a fun thing? Yeah, my look, but don't touch dream came in. I want to say it was 1973, because I was coming from Manhattan Beach. They were having the Bakersfield. It was a big CB Jamboree. It was in Bakersfield. It was very, very big for California, one of the bigger ones. And I took the 2-hour drive because rumor had it that the grand prize was a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. So I thought, I will make the drive over there and put in my couple of dollars for the raffle ticket. And I was I was able to borrow the family station wagon for the day. I don't know how I managed to do that. And I thought there'd be plenty of room in the back for me to load up all my goodies. But of course, I didn't. My ticket was not the winning ticket. I don't think it won anything. But now there's one behind me somewhere here that, like you said, I can load it up to do whatever I want to do. Radio 5, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, sounding good on the old tube radio network where we're looking for Radio 6. And I said I would mention this. I may have some more information, but on October 2nd, 1978. Okay, I thought it was October 4th. Maybe that's when it's signed into law. October 2nd, 1978, American President Jimmy Carter designated October 4th as National CB Radio Day, a day to honor the citizen band, the original car phone. And in 1978, it's probably near the peak, if not the peak. When did Convoy come out? That was 75 or 76. So just at the peak, like the top of the sunset cycle as it was heading down, the last tube radios are rolling off the assembly line, and CB radio gets its official day. What was that? 41 years ago. Raise your hand if you were on the CB radio 41 years ago, looking for radio number 6.
45.
And here's a guy that I know was on the CB radio 41 years ago. Hello, Paul, over.
Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, I'm back with a little bitty radio this time. General radio telephone, VS4.
All right, we started off with a general radio telephone, one of their big radios from the Master Control Service series. They also had a VS series, I guess that was called the Vibration Service, possibly for mobile use, although the Master Control series would go mobile as well. Paul has got the VS4. I may have a picture. And if I do, let's say it's from your collection, but we'll put it up here and we'll have you take a transmission over.
Yeah, okay. There really not a whole lot to look at. You get a picture, it'd be great.
But I'll tell you what, they are built like a tank. Solid, small, and you can almost bounce it like a basketball or throw, I think. They claim it can take a tremendous bang on a thing. Anyway, it's got a 5-channel on the thing. It's got a local distance switch on it. It's got a bullhorn switch on it. Well, on, off volume switch. And it's got a little orange light right below the channel selection. And boy, that's it. That's you.
All right, good close-up picture so we can see the bullhorn. I didn't think the VS series had the bullhorn, but it did. And this was the radio for CB. CB was the car phone we just mentioned in that piece about 10-4 day. And you didn't need an S meter. You just had to be able to keep things simple. And it was KEO 8492 base to Unit 1. And these radios were very economically priced considering what you could spend back at that time. Didn't need 23 channels because you could only talk on one. And so General Radio Telephone company was smart enough to know that. From about 1960 or 61, this was one of their earlier radios as the Citizen Band was in its infancy for the first year or two, so you needed to make it work. And it's still working, sounding good. Give us a transmission. Over.
Great, I'm glad it is. This actual manufacture date of this thing is 1964. It's older than a month on that, date on that. No biggie. But anyways, the VS stands for Vibration Service, and it has 7 tubes, or you may have said this already if I repeat it. 5 crystal control channels, I said this already. It has a bullhorn and all that. I've been through this completely before. This is smaller than the Johnson White-based radio. You're familiar with those. They're quite a bit longer than this thing. Things are kind of short. Anyway, the radio's doing the job. So I'm interested. That's the main thing. Thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
Thanks for bringing it by. The MC4 or the VS4, the MC5 came out in 62. So yeah, this might be a little bit later in that time frame. Sounding good for Radio 6. SWL 128, John Lee saying he started in 1964. Trying to think in 1964. I know I didn't have any CB radios. I think I had probably my first little transistorized AM radio. I think it was a 2-transistor Japanese, like Alan Sherman, a Japanese transistor radio. But I was not into the CB yet. So a lot of you out there listening have remembered when these radios were brand new, and they might have been affordable or not. Thanks, Paul. Enjoy the early General Radio Telephone stuff. And what I really enjoy is the fact that there's just still driving down the street great. A lot of times, think of a 1964 automobile, how much work you have to do to keep the thing running today. And the radios, that's why we are here. Like an old car, you want to start it up once a week to keep the battery running and the tires from going flat, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess maybe that's our service that we provide here on the old tube radio network. Jingle singers are wanting to provide their service. I will say that's fine, and we'll be standing by listening for them as we await radio number 7.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we are listening for Radio 7.
Number 7.
It is, if you're playing the lottery, it's the 7 on 7. Let me mark you in at, if I wait just a second, there'll be another 7 in the mix here. We'll go with 927. And tell me what you got, and I'll find a photo, I bet.
Well, I think you'll find a photo of this exact radio. It's the Tram TR27 Echo, 23-channel transmit and receive.
And we are staying about, still around that 1962, 63, 64 era. A lot of radios, a lot of good radios around at that time. Yeah, I've got one. There it is right there up in the corner. We'll get the close-up. Top of the line and the end of the line for the 27 series, the TR 27 series for Tram. As I go to the big picture, we'll go back to you for some big audio. Over.
Well, there you go. It is that radio, and although it does kind of look green, it's actually teal. Now, the S meter, that definitely goes into the green. And it's really large. It's 3.5 by 3 inches, and it's a 5 by 7 speaker, so gives you an idea of how big the radio is. It's not little.
Another radio like the Browning that you could put an external speaker on, but you probably don't need it. Let me get a close-up of the meter. I'm looking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Looks like it'll do a 60 dB over S9. I had never, my first radios always had, I think it was 40 or 30 over. I think my Realistic Navo had 30 over. And then I got the Regency and it had 40 over, and I thought, oh, that's an even better radio, right? I didn't realize, and it's all relative. And then I had a Helicrafters receiver, SWL, big heavy-duty Helicrafters receiver, and like that, it had 60 over, and I thought, well, heck, that's even better receiver if it goes to 60. So I think it's, the way they trained us with automobiles. You had the ones that went to 100 miles per hour, but then you had those ones that went to 120 and even 140. And the Corvettes probably went up more than that.
There you go. Well, 1963, and I have a 1963 Chevy pickup, the same color out in my driveway.
Well, this would certainly look fine and dandy going mobile. Will it go mobile? Let me bring up the ad. Oh, I'm in the close-up mode. I'm scrolling down. I don't think this is, and you would know. There it is, Tram. P.O. Box 187, Department 10A, Winnisquam, New Hampshire 03289. And DC voltage. I don't see anywhere where this says this would go mobile without doing some tap dancing.
Yes, this does not go mobile. Although they did make one in this series that did go mobile, but this one does not.
Yes, and we've had it check in. I want to say it's the XL something. It's a couple of pieces. We do have them check in. No need to go mobile sounds great as always. There's the full page ad that I'm looking at. CB Horizons Magazine, October 1963, page 33, showing the desk microphone. Although, as you said, or you may have said, or you are going to say, you are using the EV. I keep calling it the Collins microphone, but it's not the Collins microphone. But you're actually using a radio that's supposed to be on those kind of tube radios.
That is correct. The Electro Voice 638 is the one. Although I have a microphone like that now, I just don't have it wired with the plug because I just found out I thought I have a stereo plug. I just don't know where.
Is that what that takes? It's got a plug-in, so it's like the tip ring sleeve. It's not your typical 4-pin or 5-pin.
Oh, no. It's just like the old stereo headphone jack.
Oh, really? All right. So it's sort of like the Browning, where you only have a couple of connections. So you probably have to be very careful because there's probably some voltage running through that thing somewhere.
Well, I'm not sure if there is, but I learned my lesson with the Browning, so I'm not going to find out.
Yeah, I have too. I've put up a picture that this is at least the EV, the 638 head, because it's got the bifurcated thing. It's on a stand that I'm not sure is like you've got it. It has a big red, I'll call it the relay switch, the push to talk button. I thought you said yours wasn't like that.
No, mine is not like that. In fact, I used to have one just like that I gave to Jerry, 84, and he uses it on one of his radios.
All right, yours may be more. Let me see if I can swap the shot in here. There it is. It might be more like that. That's a pretty professional sound. Something's telling me that this is a heavy-duty microphone. You would not want to do it on the Browning and swing it around.
No. As a matter of fact, that is the looking at, because I've had different bases with colors and stuff. You got the brushed aluminum or whatever it is. Yeah, that's exactly the one that I have. That looks like my microphone.
That is the classic. It's got the right impedance match for a lot of the tube radios. If you ever see pictures of the Collins collectors, guys, it's sort of... If you're going to show off your expensive Collins radio, usually you have one of these style of EV microphones to go with it. It's like having the proper hubcap on your on your old jalopy. Radio number, where did I put my list? I'm having too much fun. Radio number 7, Mr. Ed on the Tram TR27E. We were talking about the microphonium, but this, for those of you who have tube radios, this microphonium would probably be a good choice, like the D104 for your tube radios. Back to you for transmission. And thanks again for bringing by the, what did Everett used to call it? The damn tram.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much for taking my check-ins. With that, we'll sit back and take a listen for a little bit.
From 1963, sounding good on the old tube radio network at 9:34 Pacific Coast time. We are here on Channel 11. 27085 at the bottom of cycle 24, cycle 25 starting. You tune us in a year or two, even at this late hour, we might be getting some skip in from Hawaii or who knows where. Also, oldtuberadio.net, where we stream the audio, and many of you are still listening. British Columbia is still in there. Hello to Copperopolis station in California. The UK, Queensland is still in. Virginia, Maryland, a couple of stations in California. I think it was one of those great, nice days all the way around, and people were out being very active. So we had a lot of people that are just saying, I am done with Saturday. So we probably won't go too long tonight. Because that's sort of the same thing with me. I finished a lot of projects today. And that is one reason. I had a lot of the things I had to get done today, and that's unfortunately one of the reasons I didn't try and get on the California QSO party, although I did listen, and the band was not bad. It usually happens when you are breaking holes in the ozone. Now, looking for radio number 8.
how do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
The O2 Radio Network is listening for Radio 8. Someone checking out a radio there. If you're oldtuberadio.net or watching the video, there is some tips on soldering. You are trying to get those electrolytic capacitor changed on your tube radio. I need this. Heat part and pad 2 to 3 seconds, add solder, continue heating, let cool down. Don't blow, all right? Perfect. There's what looks like a blob, too much solder. It's a round blob, not enough. It's not covering the part you're trying to solder. A cold joint, sort of a blob with things sticking out. Too much heat. You're burning the board and everything else. And if it's touching something else it shouldn't be, it's a short. So I'll leave that up. That's your guide to soldering. All of our radios checking in tonight sound like they have been soldered correctly. Haven't had a Heath kit. That's one of the ones that was typically in the kit form. And you had to go, if you didn't build it yourself, go check somebody else's soldering. Looking for radio number 8.
Break OTR.
Now, here's a station that knows how to do soldering. I don't think you need our soldering chart here. You've probably done enough that you could write this chart yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, this is a radio. Let me turn off my background. Okay, there we go. Took care of that. This is an old tube radio. I found another microphone and slapped it on there, and I think it's working.
Sounds like it is. Tell us the radio. I was hearing a little, like I said, background noise, so you've got plenty of audio. Doesn't sound like you're real close to the mic element there, but I'm hearing you just fine. Over.
Roger. This is the Gemtronics GTX 5000 40-channel CB transceiver.
All right, I have a less than stellar photo of the GTX 5000. What kind of monochrome? You'll have to let us know what color the cabinet face is. That's, of course, the Panasonic chassis, the 40-channel version from Gemtronics, but it's sounding good. Whatever microphone you've chosen is working for you. Over.
Okay, fantastic. This the less than stellar picture you have is actually pretty good. It's very comparable to what I'm seeing here live on the desk. Let's see. Oh, the microphone is a Turner Plus 3. And it's not the Plus 3B, it's just a Plus 3.
All right. Plus 2. No, you know what? I have a Plus 3. No, it's not a Plus 3. It's a Super Sidekick. I thought I had a Plus 3. I looked over on the workbench there, but that's the one. You know what? That's the one I used when I was remoting in on the laptop through OTR, and I wired it into the microphone jack because I like to have the audio control. Actually, it worked out pretty nice. And the Plus 3, what was the difference between the Plus 2 and the Plus 3? The Plus 3 had a compressor built in or something besides the amplifier? I don't know. I'm looking to see, do you have, does that radio, I'm looking at the front of it here. Okay, that doesn't have the range expand on it. They swapped it out for the CBPA, right?
Well, I guess so, but there is no range boost or range expand on this radio, so they must have.
Yeah, there were various configurations of that chassis, and some had the PACB switch there, and some had the range expand. I don't know how they figured out who was going to get what. And that's got the switchable SRF meter. It does have the TX-RX. I've heard people say that, let's see, when I'm transmitting, when I'm talking, I'm fairly close to you. Do I make your transmit or receive light blink on my audio?
My receive light doesn't blink. It just goes solid green. But come back to me and I'll see what you're doing on the S meter.
All right. Well, let's see. I see, this is the S meter I'm used to. Let me go to the close-up. That looks like the one, very similar to the one that was in my Navajo. I think it only goes up to 30 over. You can confirm that. Let me go to the control. And that way, when I come back, you can give yourself an S meter report. All right, there you go. Over.
Okay. I'm not looking at the video right now. I'm just looking at the picture. Yeah, you're coming in between the plus 10 and the plus 30, so that would put you right at the plus 20 mark, I would assume. And which is same as what I get you on the 850.
All right. There's some calibration thing, like S9 is so many dBu over minus 50 or minus 90. There's like a Collins standard and another standard that you can calibrate your S meter for an S9. And one way it makes the signals read a little bit more, and some it doesn't. I have a real, that would be cool. I should try and get that set up, a real dBu meter. That's what I should be showing. And then have to give the conversion for it somewhere. Yeah, you sound good. You're at S9. There is some forward movement on the audio. And like I said, you've got everything set up, no crackling. I hear a little bit of background noise, maybe a fan or something going on, but your audio sounds fine. The Gemtronics GTX 5000 is radio number 8. I haven't even marked you in yet because I've been goofing around with things here. And my notes say it was the 40-channel Panasonic. It shows up in the later SAM, CB202, similar to the Robin, T240D, of course, the T-Berry T, Shakespeare, the Colt. And, of course, I think I've said this before, remove the limiter, if you were wanting to do that, by clipping D601. Taking the limiter out really gives the mic audio more highs and low range. I don't know if that's been modified there or not, but that's there's your modification. Over.
Well, I surely don't want to break the FCC rules by clipping that diode, so I'm just going to keep it just the way it is.
Yeah, you're not supposed to overmodulate and splatter, and I don't know if there was a rule if that would be a modified radio or not. The FCC is always, you can do things, but here's the limits. Here's when we measure something, it has to fall within this range of something, and I suppose if you can fall within the range that they want, even if you've made a modification, you might be okay. And obviously in 2019, they probably don't care too much unless you're causing malicious and unnecessary interference. Thanks for bringing by radio number 8. I'm glad you found a microphonium that makes it work.
Yes, fantastic. I took the other microphone and put it on my Kenwood. So I found this mic in my storage unit, and I go, I forgot I have this. Let's see if I can hook it to that old tube radio to get this thing going again. And sure enough, got it going. And by gum, and I can actually touch the case without burning my hands. I remember in the summertime when it's like 90 degrees in my room here, this radio gets so hot, can't even touch the top of the radio without burning your fingers.
And that is the Panasonic chassis. I've heard some other people say that, especially with the Robin, somebody on the T240D mentioned that it just runs really hot. So I don't know if that's just a combination of the tubes. What's in that thing, 13 tubes or 11 tubes? Maybe it's 11 tubes. It might be how they have it aligned. But you can see the convection cooling vents in there. Tubes don't mind if they run a little bit hot. The other parts, the capacitors and resistors and transformers, typically don't want to run too hot, but they will take the heat. So thanks for bringing. The question I was going to ask you before you go: what was the other microphone that used to be on there that's on the Kenwood now?
Oh, that's the Turner Expander 500.
Okay, is that the one you were running earlier?
Yes, that's the one I checked in with.
Okay, that actually does a real good job on the Kenwood. I thought it was a D104 or something, but it has a good flavor. It probably has some wide fidelity, and since you're putting the wideband on the radio, then the microphone is making all things happy. All right, good deal. Thanks for checking in. The Jingle Singers are ready to go.
listening in the latest style. That's
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
And we are looking for radio number 9. Okay, speaking of tubes, let's see if this photo will work. Inside a miniature tube. Okay, I probably have to go to this picture right there. Can you see that? Let's see. Grid, cathode heater, spacer, glass envelope, exhaust tip, the getter, and the plate, and the suppressor. A lot of stuff going on in that little bottle.
Speaking of tubes.
This is the Speaking of Tubes frequency. Go ahead.
Yes, I learned about. I learned a new. New to me. I learned about a tube I've never heard of before called the peanut tube.
I have heard that name mentioned, especially on some of the auctions where there's older gear and they're saying the peanut tube is okay or something like that. So I'm assuming this is not a radio that you would take to the ball game because it's got a peanut tube. It's something else.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook Vintage Electronics page that I created. There's a guy selling a socket for a tube socket, and he didn't know what it was. And I go, that's interesting. And then somebody said, that's a peanut tube socket. Or something like that, and it's a tube with little kind of like your older car tail light bulb, where it's got the bumps on the bottom for contact, and that's what a peanut tube has. It's got four contacts on the bottom, and they're not pins like a tube, but more like bumps.
All right, I was trying to search a peanut tube, and what I came up with is probably not quite correct. It looks more like a neon bulb. All right, here's something that looks a little more like what you described. In fact, if I didn't know better, I would say was some type of an auto lamp. There it is, and that has the base, and then the two bumps on the side where it looks like it screws in, and then there's actually a little glass bulb on the top. I don't know what this would be used for, but the old peanut tube I wonder what a peanut tube would help you with. I wonder if it's used as a gimmick. Is it used more as a light bulb? I don't know.
Well, I think it was just a low-powered tube. And I guess, probably for portable equipment, I would assume, because it's small and lightweight.
Yeah, it's invented for some reason, but it's definitely not a 6146. A little more compact. I don't believe I've run across anybody running a peanut tube in a CB radio.
Nope, that would be a first.
You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. Almost 10 o'clock, still time to get in a radio. We're looking for Radio 9. Here tonight, it's been a very nice day, not only here in Central California, but it seems like from what our listeners, SWLs, have said, pretty much across the entire U.S. and maybe even elsewhere. So I think a lot of people are retiring and getting away early, probably because they were so busy today doing fun stuff. So I appreciate all those stations that have come by and checked in radios. We're standing by. And let me go to the, let's get back to the control room here. We do have a check-in from SWL 78. Richard, having a good day out there in Everett, Washington. And jumping into the Radio Shack to say hello to the tube radio operators and the SWLs. Sounds like you had a good time with the company, and thanks for saying hello radio out here in the Old Tube Radio Network. We've got you checked in, 78, over. Here's a link to the peanut tube. Hendrik Johannes van der Bij developed the first Wico tube. It is also called the peanut tube for its very small size. As Type N, it has been finished in 1919 and was on the market as a 215A in the early 1920s. So it's been around a while. The earliest type of the 215A tube had a Bakelite 4-contact base, which was 16 millimeter in diameter. 1922, the bulb size was increased to 16 millimeter diameter. Various methods of supporting the element's structure were adopted over the tube's economic life. H.J. van der Bijl, B-I-J-L, I think, deducted the fundamental functional relationships of triodes, and by that won a post at the Western Electric Company, WECO, as a senior research physicist until the publication of the book Theory of the Thermionic Tube. The peanut tube was also produced by Canada and Northern Electric. So if you got one of the early 215 peanut tubes, it could be very old. Doing some counting and mounting and looking for radio number 9 before we head out of the old tube radio this evening.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Well, talk about peanut tubes has made me hungry. Do they have a popcorn tube?
Well, then you need pretzel tubes too.
I think you're right. And the 80, is it the 807? The big tubes in the old Heathkit and E.F. Johnson transmitters are always referred to. If you have a bottle of beer, it's like, I have an 807. So we've got the refreshment. Now we just need the peanuts and the popcorn. And also, I think we'll go ahead and sign off here from Central California, the California QSO party. I'll have to go down there and see what's happening. Maybe we'll SWL for a minute or two on the audio side, see if there's anybody trying to talk to California here. Thanks to all those people who are talking, doing their California QSO with their tube radios tonight here in the old Tube Radio Network. Hello to our station wanting to camp more out there in Central Maryland. The old Tube Radio Network is what you're watching here in Central California, where each Saturday evening, and we've been doing this maybe not on the air or streaming, but here locally on our CB radios for about 35 years, giving those of us who have the old radios an excuse to maybe wander into the Radio Shack and key up for a little bit. Also, those locally, the shortwave listeners who like the sound and enjoy the tube radios to get on and listen in. And we recreate that, and thank everybody that's been helping us out tonight. Jingle Singers, I'm sort of stalling here, waiting for Mr. Announcer and the orchestra to get up to the microphone. There they go. And that way I can do what I do best here at 10 o'clock, and that's the counting and amounting of our final totals. Let's see what we've got.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
This is the current and final totals for the Old Tube Radio Network here for October 5th, 2019. We had 8 radios total and 40 SWLs, 7 checking in on page 1, 11 on page 2, 14 on page 3, and 12 on page 4. The most heard manufacturer tonight, drum roll. I guess we just got it. Got the drum roll. The Browning Laboratories at 3, the General Radio Telephones at 2. Started off with radio number 1, Chris, on his General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. The Golden Eagle Mark III SSB was radio 2 from Paul. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark none, or the Mark 1 maybe. The R68 T68 was brought to us from Ed. Paul came by with radio 4, the B&K Cobra 98, sounding very nice audio with the microphone you've got. Radio 5, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, that was also from Ed. Paul on the General Radio Telephone VS4 from the early 1960s. Add a few years to 1963, and you have the Tram TR27E, 60 over. Imagine that meter might have seen a couple of 60 overs in the last 50 years or so. Thanks, Ed, for that. Radio 7 and Radio 8, the Gemtronics GTX 500 from Larry. What notes do I have? I don't have a lot of notes. It just seemed like it was a good day all the way around States this Saturday, so hope you were able to do something fun, and it will continue into tomorrow and the rest of the week. Good antenna weather or antenna prepping weather. As I said, if it's not too hot, and get up in the attic and check all those coax runs or make a few new ones for the yet-to-be antennas. Make sure there's no other check-ins here on the big page. Looks like we're good all the way around. All right, 73, everybody. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex for keeping the Nixie tubes running. And next week, I am going to be away from the air chair. We have a big fundraising function at the radio station, so we'll see what happens. Might have a stand-in for a little bit. We might have the audio up for you to listen to as radios check in. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing, but stay tuned for that. And, of course, certainly don't need me to check in your radios on a Saturday evening. So please do so next weekend. The Old Tube Radio Network, we are listening. And we're going to drop the video and the audio stream here shortly. Don't forget, we have the archives up at oldtuberadio.net. Check in on the archive button, and the video will be up for a while so that you can watch that at your leisure. Give yourself a radio report on the S-meter playback. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis, and thanks to Bozo Control.
Sometimes known as Baker Oscar, Zulu Oscar. All right, I think that's it for the video. Let's end with the giant... Where's the giant S-meter? And that is with the RF gain setup. If I don't turn the RF gain down, let's see what we do. That's how noisy it gets. And that's with the noise blanker on. So we roll it off. All right, I'll leave the video on. Let's do something here. We're going to head down to, and this is on the Starduster. See if we can get any, I'm going to turn the preamp off, get rid of the RF gain. See if we can get any California QSO people.
Troy 2 to that on your TV set over there tomorrow.
Hey, where are you located?
Well, kind of at one point of the triangle between Mike and Dana.
All right, a little rag chewing going on. 75 meters has a lot of standard evening frequencies, so you got to be careful if you're calling CQ contest. There's somebody at 3850. NT6Q. It's just like tonight on CB. A lot of people are done with radio, I think. You may be gone. And the NT6Q California Alligators Contest Club in Escondido. That's down in San Diego, probably about 400 miles from here. So a club station.
Any station anywhere.
3834.
Kilo Delta 6 again. Kilo Delta 6, Delta Kilo Charlie, 1119 Santa Cruz.
Wow, up in the thousands. This guy's been working.
Thank you. Kilo 6, Monkey.
K6MMM out of Los Gatos, another radio club. The contest call sign for the Monkey Lovers Radio Consortium.
November 6, Kilo Charlie Echo, 1120 Santa Cruz.
You got 1,000 Qs on the party. You're not doing bad.
Tango Charlie Echo, 1120 Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz is about 100 miles on the ground wave here on 75 meters.
November 6, Tango Charlie Echo, 1120 Santa Cruz.
And I'm just barely hearing the other one. All right, let's go to 40 meters before we jump out here. I doubt we're going to hear much, but because my antenna is less than stellar. Some broadcast stations. And my antenna's too weak. I'm sure there's people out there on 40. It's a very short transmission, so it's hard to find. Here we go. 7188, 87. 7187. With some contest audio there. Let's see where he's at.
96 is okay.
71.
73, King Henry 7, X-ray Sugar contest.
At 7186.9.
Kilo Hotel 7, X-ray Sugar contest. just King contest. Anybody anywhere for the Oceana contest. King Henry 7, X-ray sugar. King Henry 7, X-ray sugar. Anybody anywhere.
There's a station from Hawaii, KH7XS. Another club, Big Island Contest Club.
Is that Hotel Foxtrot Japan? Okay, yeah, Kilo Alpha Zero, Hotel Delta Japan. We have worked before in this band. It's a duplicate contact. QRZ? Queen United, give me the call again.
Lo'opahoho in Hawaii.
Okay, I want to get this Queen United. Give me the prefix again. No, I need to call. I don't have any call. Queen United, what's the prefix? Okay, we should make this Queen United 591901. What's our number?
1901. This guy's almost up to 2,000.
Okay, 009, is that right? Okay, thank you. 73, King Henry 7, X-ray sugar.
At 7186.8. So anybody listening,
Mike Bravo Golf, 591902.
listening in, see if you can hear Hawaii. It's easy for us on the West Coast to do that.
Oh, that's even better. Hold on a second. Oscar Echo 6. Okay, Mike, Oscar Echo 6, Mike Bravo Golf, 591902. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. King Henry 7, X-ray sugar. Yours up.
And since this is 40 meters, we're not hearing the local California stations at all. No, that guy was coming in good. That's on the Star Duster. Here's somebody pretty weak at 7194, 93. Dropped out. All right, well, it's out there. And of course, 20 meters is dead.
Charlie 6 Hotel, 1126, Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz guy is still good at 38-34.
Back to Kilo 6, Monkey.
The guy's got a
November 6 Golf Echo Oscar.
The guy's got a pretty good signal. So if you're out of California, you might try 3834. 3.834 for the guy in on the coast, California coast. All right, good night, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network.
Quebec Yankee, 1128, Santa Cruz.
And again, I will not be around next week. But we'll probably have the audio up. I don't think we'll have the video, but we may have the audio at oldtuberadio.net, 73.